Namaste dear students. Today we are here to discuss about effects of climate change, which is under unit 6 of grade 10 Science and Technology, Nature and Environment. In previous class also we discussed about the climate change. What are the causes of climate change? How the climate is changing day by day? We discussed in densely about these things. So today just observe these pictures. In first picture you can see there is greenery and there is a river is flowing. In second picture what you observe? Yes, there is firing and there is smog coming out from that. So, what is the differences between these two environments? If you observe these two pictures, then what differences can you find in this? Which environment is good for living being and which environment is not good? And another thing is why these things happen, what are the causes of it, and what are the effects of this kind of environment. Can you analyze it? Yes, in this condition, see, in this environment we can see different types of organism can grow very easily. Every living organism can become healthy by this environment. But when we observe this type of environment, there are various effects we can see in the organisms, like they lost their habitats and they may suffer from different kinds of health hazards also. Even there are different environmental changes may occur in this condition. So, today we are going to discuss these effects. What are the effects will be seen in the environment and also living organism due to this climate change. So, another picture you can observe here. See, these are the mountains, but there is no ice cap or we can't see the ice over this. Yes, actually the mountains should be covered with snow or ice. Yes, but when we see this, it is just like a desert. There is nothing. Neither there is snow. Yes, neither there are plants. How this happens? And another one is, you can see here, some plants are growing over here, but the land is just, see, it is dried up. There is no water. The plants are unable to absorb water from the soil. So, what are the reason? What is the reason for this condition? Based on your previous class, can you say one reason for this? Yes, it is because of the climate change. Due to climate change, there are different kind of hazards we see in our environment. So, what those environmental hazards and what are those effects seen in our environment we discuss today. Let's see one small video. See what is happening here. From the industries, smokes is coming out and many animals are grazing over there. Here deforestation and there is haphazardly people are throwing garbages here and there, and because of this there is different kind of problems are seen on the surface of the earth where the biosphere is present. All the biological factors or the all biotic factors are affected by these kind of activities. So, what it causes? It causes the climate change. and what are the impacts of this climate change, and what are the solution for those, or the how can we minimize the climate change, we just discussed today. Here say, because of climate change, there is, in this picture, in the same picture, we can, half part is showing it is greenery, there are living organism, the biosphere is very healthy, but in half picture it is shown that the land is dried up, there is no rainfall, there is a drought condition. Can these conditions help the organisms to live in a healthy way? No. So just we see how to prevent the climate change, or how to minimize. We can't prevent, but how to minimize those. What are the measures to minimize, and those effects which are affecting the human being as well as other living beings present on the earth, we have to search such a ways that can help the living organisms to live healthy life. So today we discuss on those topics. First, effects of climate change. First, this picture is, that means in this picture this small girl is thinking, how does this condition of land occur? Yes, what is the cause? There is no rainfall. For a long time there is no rainfall. Because of that, even there is very high temperature, and due to that high temperature, the moisture contained in the soil also evaporated away. There is no rainfall, the water contained in the soil is also evaporated away. Because of that, this condition is arised. And another one is, here two pictures are shown. See, in one there is heavy rainfall. Okay. In another picture there is no rainfall. There is drought condition. Because of these two conditions, what effects will be seen in the environment if there is sometime very heavy rainfall and sometime drought condition? Are these two conditions are good for the environment or the living organisms present in the environment? No. If there is heavy rainfall also, it affects the organisms. That means it affects the organism by, that means it flood away the all the things present on the surface of the earth. Even the habitats of the organisms will be lost, and even the crops which are growing on the field will also lost. And in another condition, this drought condition, no plants can be grown and animals cannot get drinking water. Because of that, animals present in this area will be migrated. So these two conditions are not good for the living organisms or the good environment. In this picture, in this video, you can see there is heavy rainfall. Because of that, transportation are affected. Because of that, persons are not able to move here and there. And in this region, there is flood. Because of the flood, the whole crops are covered by the flood and flooded away. This also affecting the agricultural field also. So this, because of these conditions, all the life of the earth is also affected. So this climate change invites the such kind of effects on the environment. Next, another effect of the climate change is global temperature rise. Due to global temperature rise, there are different effects is seen. That means there are various effects can be seen on the surface of the earth. The first, atmospheric temperature increases over the decades. Every decades the temperature is increasing and increasing. Due to this, there are different impacts are seen on the different factors like Himalayan range. That means Himalayan range, the snow are just melting away. Because of that, the height of these mountains are also decreasing. And glaciers, those glacier caps are melting and they are forming, that means glacier lake outburst also seen. And because of that, there is ecosystem of the Himalayan region is also affected. those organisms which are growing on the Himalayan region in that condition, now these are disappearing. So, this rise in temperature affects the whole ecosystem as well as the physical condition of that environment also. Mainly it is connected with the greenhouse gas emission. That means that this rise in temperature is because of the increase in the amount of greenhouse gases, which we have already learned in the previous class. In the main cause of climate change is the excessive emission of the greenhouse gases. Next, effect on the mountain region. How it is affected? See, you can see here there is glacier lake outburst flood is occurring. Here whole mountains are without snow. That means all the ice caps are melted, glacier is melted away, and because of that these are looking like a naked mountains. And we can see there is no living organisms are seen, plants and animals are also not seen, just like a desert it is. So there are, at first these glacier lake are formed due to melting of the ice or the melting of the snow present on the mountain. There is a formation of glacier lake which increase the risk of glacier lake outburst. And due to that, there are different impacts are seen in the environment, just like the communities, local communities which are residing just below this mountain area, their whole, that means if there is glacier melts occur, there is glacier lake outburst flood occurs, due to that flood away their houses, their agricultural field untimely, unknowingly. So the whole community will be affected. If also there is effect on the biodiversity of that local area, because of that the whole community will be affected. And there is effect is seen, the impact is seen in the water resources also. If there is glacier lake outburst, what happens, the whole water resources which the people used to use for the drinking, that means the resources which are available in their localities will also be flooded by this glacier lake outburst flood. So they will not get drinking water, that is also problem. And mountain ecosystem will be affected because of this glacier lake outburst. These are some of the effects which are seen on the mountain region. Another effect of climate change is drought. Here, what is drought? All of you know that. Due to rapid increase in temperature, there is a rate of evaporation of water contained in the soil is also increased. Because of that, what happens, whole water contained in the soil will be evaporated away, and but there is no rainfall, so whole land will be dried away and no living organisms can survive over there. That means no plants can grow due to lack of water, and the animals which are growing over there also migrated from those places. Because of that, the living, that means whole ecosystem of that area will also affected. And another one is the people will not get drinking water also. Because of that, they have to move away from that place in search of water also. And this whole surface soil will dried away. Because of that, the microorganisms or the organisms which are growing under the soil will also move away from that, or some will die also. Next one is flood. In our country also, generally we see during rainy season there are different areas which are affected by the flood. Even in the many dense cities also we have seen the flood, like Kathmandu, even Sindhupalchok. That Sindhupalchok district is very famous for the effect of this flood. Even in the Tarai region also we see the flood condition. And because of this flood, what we see, there is destruction of houses, even there is destruction of the cultivable lands, and also there is destruction of the ecosystem of the surrounding. So these effects we see because of the flood. Then how does flood occurs? Flood is occurring in our country because of two reasons. One is very heavy rainfall and another one is glacier lake outburst. Those two are caused by the climate change. Due to climate change, there is sometime very heavy rainfall, sometime there is drought, that means on-time change in the weather also. And another one is due to emission of large amount of greenhouse gases, there is global warming. Because of that global warming, there is glacier melting. Okay, and due to glacier melting, formation of the glacier lakes, and due to glacier lake outburst, there is flood. These are the interconnected with each other, but main cause of this flood, drought are the climate change. Then what effects can we see in this flood condition? Just observe this video. See, there is flood. Because of the flood, whole locality is affected. Houses are destructed and some cultivable lands are destructed. Some animals are flooded away. That means even sometime the people, that means human being also losing their life when they are that means encountered by this type of flood also. So this all impacts we have seen in the human being as well as biosphere, you can say. That means even living plants, animals, human being, as well as physical infrastructures, as well as other physical conditions also. Next, what are the effects of drought and flood? Here we have seen these all the plants are dried away. Because of what? It is because of this drought condition. And another one is this picture shows that there is flood. Due to this flood, these houses are just flooded away. And why this occurs? Due to change in rainfall patterns. And what are the effects we see? Agricultural disruption, food security risk. If there is agricultural disruption, then what happens? The food security will be very less. That means all the agricultural land are flooded away or there is drought condition. What happens? The plants cannot grow over there. Even though those farms where the plants and animals are grown, those will be flooded away. Then what happens? Is there food for the human beings and other organisms will remain over there or not? So because of that, there is food security will be in the risk and economic impact also. If these agricultural land and foods are flood away or there is no production of it and many infrastructures are affected by this flood, then surely there is a decline in the economic condition of the country. Those infrastructure which are constructed by using much amount of money, those are flooded away. Again we have to reconstruct those things. So there is impact on the economic also. Next, regional variation in the precipitation. That means how much water is falling or during rainfall there is more amount of water falls on the surface of the earth. Then what kind of land absorbs that kind of water? That is nothing but precipitation. And during precipitation, based on the land also, it depends how much water will be precipitated inside the earth's surface. So there will be, due to this drought and flood condition, the regional variation in the precipitation also seen. Next, rising sea levels. Due to climate change, the sea level rises up. How? Yes, when there is change in the climate, there is global warming, there is increase in the temperature of the surface of the earth. Due to high temperature, what happens? The water present in the sea level also expand. That means volume also expand. One reason is that. And another reason is there is that means glacial lake outburst occurs. Untimely there is flood occurs. Those floods will again go to the sea, and the level of water on the sea will also rise because of this glacier melting also. There are two reasons, okay. First one is thermal expansion of ocean. That means due to high temperature, there is the volume of the water will expand due to high heat. And another one is melting of glacier and ice caps result on the glacier outburst flood. Though after flooding, that will reach to the sea level. Because of that also, the sea level will increase. What are the consequences or the impacts of it? There is coastal flooding. Again, if there is rise in the sea level, again there will occur. That means what? There is also flooding occurs. Where? In the coastal region, which is called coastal flooding. And habitat destruction. Around the sea level also there are different, that means living organisms, habitats are there. Plants, animals, human beings residing over in the coastal region. Those are also destructed. Community displacement. If there is flooding occurs in the coastal region, those who are residing on the coastal region, they have to migrate from those places to the other places. So because of that, there is community displacement occurs. And another impact of the climate change is impact on the biodiversity. Already we have known about this biodiversity. What is biodiversity? Yes, the different kinds of organisms found in a particular region with specific characteristic, that is nothing but biodiversity. But how it is affected by the climate change? There is change in the species behavior. That means some species are extincted and some new species may arise due to this change in the environment. What kind of weather is there? What kind of climate is there? The environment select those organisms which are able to survive on those conditions. Because of that, new species may generated and old species may extincted. So there is change in the species behavior. Then what are the effects on it? Growth pattern. The growth pattern of the organisms will be affected. Another one is development cycles of the different organism. There are life cycle of the different organism is different. That means, for example, in rainy season, we see the one kind of organism. During winter season, we see the another kind of organism. Even our cultivation of crops are also depend on the weather. So if there is climate change, there is untimed weather change, or there is pattern of the weather change is also different, changing. Because of that, those living organisms which are seen a decade ago may not seen in this decade also. So there is how this occurs means due to the change in the growth pattern, due to the effect on the developmental cycle of these organisms, and due to the species adaptation. That means in that environment, the change due to climate change, new conditions or the new environment is formed. Whether these species are able to adapt on that environment or not, that also affect the biodiversity. Another one is increased extinction risk. Now, due to climate changes, those native organisms which are present in that environment will not able to adapt themselves in that condition. Their native environment was different. Now, due to climate change, whole environment is changed. Temperature is rising and all the atmospheric conditions are also changed. Because of that, they are not able to adapt on that environment. Because of that, there is a chances of extinction risk of those native organisms. So these are the some of the impacts on the biodiversity. Another one is impact on the human health. how human health is affected. You can see in this picture, there is very high temperature, is it? And due to global warming, there are different conditions are arised. Temperature is rising day by day. Then the person will suffer from the different kinds of problem. And what are those direct impact on the health? What are the direct impacts? We can see skin disease, red rashes are seen in the skin. Sometimes skin cancers also occur because of this climate change effect. Mental health issues. There are different kinds of mental health. That means when the climate changes, there are environmental changes occurs. Due to that, the people feel nausea and there are different mental hazards may occur. So these are also bad impact, or these are the negative impact on the human health. Another one is nutritional deficiency. Even due to this climate change, the growth of the plants, animals is also different. Yes, there are various effects seen on those. If we consume those kind of fruits, vegetables, even meat which are grown on those conditions, which are where we are using to protect the plants and animals, we are using various kinds of, that means due to the climate change, the conditions are different. So protect them from those conditions, various kinds of insecticides, pesticides, those are we are using, and because of that the nutritional values of those food items are also declining. So the human being may suffer from the nutritional deficiencies. Indirect health effects through the environmental changes also seen. That means indirectly, these are the direct effect, but some indirect effects are also seen on the health. That means long term effect. Now we don't see any effect, but long timely there are various kinds of long term diseases may occur. And sometimes that means previously we don't hear about the cancer. Yes, that is, but nowadays we are hearing about the different kinds of lung cancer, even stomach cancer, skin cancer, so many types of diseases. How these are occurring? Due to this climate change also, these are promoting, that means these kinds of indirect health problems are also promoted by this climate change. Another impact is weather pattern changes. How weather pattern is changed? Even in, that means when I was very smaller one, at that time during winter season it is very cold, but nowadays in my surrounding, in winter also I don't feel so cold just like in my childhood. Why it is happening? Even rainfall pattern is also changed. That means the generally as Asad and Shravan, in our country rainfall occurs during Asad and Shravan in the previous years, but nowadays the rainfall is occurring in Ashoz also. This year we have seen, due to heavy rainfall during Bhadra and Asad, there are many places are flooded away due to heavy rainfall. That means the weather pattern is also changing because of this climate change. So how it is occurring? Just say irregular rainfall. There is rainfall pattern is also changed. Irregular rainfall. Another one is seasonal disruption. Even I have just given you the example. In winter season also we don't feel very cold, is it? And even in rainy season we don't find rainfall. So this seasonal disruptions is also occurring because of this climate change. Agricultural challenges. What are the agricultural challenges because of this weather pattern changes? We see crop timing. That means previously we used to see those crops which are growing in the summer season. Now we can grow in the winter season also. Yes, and the timing of cropping is also varying. Generally, in our Nepal is a agricultural country. Most of the areas depend on the rainfall for their cropping. If the rainfall pattern changes, then the cropping timing also changes. So, this is another problem. Another one is water availability. For the agriculture, we need water to grow the plants. So, due to climate change, the water availability is also challenged. Another one is yield impact. That means growth of the plants. If there is no water, there is no good condition for the growth, then the yield of the crops is also affected by this weather pattern change. What responses are shown by our country for the climate change? There is an act, Environmental Protection Act 2076, where there are different rules are made to control the climate change. And there is government initiatives. Government is also working on to minimize the climate change. Similarly, local level involvement is also there. That means local government is also involved in this controlling climate change. Private sector, different NGOs, INGOs are also participating in this climate change controlling. Next one is controlling measures of the climate change. How can we control the climate change? There are various measures which we can do to control the climate change. Let's see what are those. See, in this picture, you can see the people are using windmills. Even there is more plants are growing, and that means to capture the carbon dioxide. And solar panels are used instead of different kinds of diesel and petrol vehicles. They are using that means the vehicles which are running through the solar battery or the other dry cells, etc. That means electric vehicles are promoted so that we can reduce the carbon emission. So, if we reduce the carbon emission, greenhouse gases will decrease and global warming will be decreased. Because of that, what happens? The whole climate change will be controlled. Here, most effective one is energy efficiency measures. That means to utilize the fossil fuel energy. If we minimize the use of fossil fuel energy, we can minimize the emission of carbon dioxide. So, for that, these are the different ways which we can reduce that means reduce the use of fossil fuels. And alternative energy sources. For cooking, we are instead of using fossil fuels or the firewood, etc., we can use electrical appliances, which even solar cookers, so that we can minimize the carbon emission. Then wind energy, that means to generate the electricity or the wind, we can use wind energy also. Another one is transportation solution. That means for the transportation, instead of using fossil fuels, we can use various kind of energies, just like solar car, solar devices, even electrical vehicles, etc. Carbon storage solution. That means if the carbon dioxide is emitted, or the more amount of carbon is emitted in the environment, we have to store that. How to store? There are main ways of storing carbon is those carbon dioxides which are released from the industries, those should be that means trapped in their condition only, that means in their surrounding only, by using carbon capture power plant. That means when we establish the power plants or any industries, we have to manage the carbon capture power plant. Because of that, this carbon dioxide will not be emitted in the environment, so that the greenhouse gases will be decreases, which reduce the global warming, which reduce the climate change. And similarly, if we reforest a forest or the number of forests we increase, the forest, that means the green plants absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. Because of that, it will be it will reduce the carbon in the environment. It will store the carbon in the form of carbohydrates or the starch. So these are the some of the methods to store the amount of carbon dioxide which is released in the environment. Carbon capture power plant, role of forest. What are the rules? See, importance of first one is tree plantation. You know that how tree absorb the carbon dioxide. Forest conservation. This forest conservation is nothing but planting more number of trees, growing more number of trees which help to reduce the carbon or which helps to absorb the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere, and increasing the green species. Even not only forest, in our surrounding also we have to plant the trees. These are the some of the solution, that means the carbon storage solution which helps to reduce the greenhouse effect. Next one is public awareness and action. If in the local areas, those who are present in their own area, if they will participate in these programs, that means climate change minimize program, then surely it can be minimized. So some public awareness is very essential to minimize the climate change. First one is individual responsibility. Each and every individual is responsible for the climate change. So they have the major role to control that climate change also. So each and every individual should be conscious about the controlling the climate change. Another one is community involvement. See, in this picture, whole community is doing something in their surrounding. They are doing what they are doing? Can you guess? Yes, they are planting the trees in their bare land. Their afforestation program is going on in this area. Afforestation is going on. What a student can do? They can, that means everyone can practice the environmental friendly practices. You can clean your surrounding. You can aware the people by making some different kinds of programs like roadside programs. You can conduct some role plays, etc. So these are the roles of each and every individuals. And another one is behavioral change. How to change the behavior of the people. Just like some people used to take chocolate, biscuit, chow chow, etc. Is it? Then they used to throw those wrappers on the road. And even we used to collect those, then we just incinerate it. Is it good behavior? No. So we have to change ourselves. Instead of doing those things, we have to change into the environmentally friendly behavior. That means there are 3R formula, you know that. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Those which can be that means reduced, minimum use of those things we have to do. And if there are some things which can be reused, we have to reuse it. If it is not, then we have to recycle it. We should not incinerate, we should not throw here and there, which cause the pollution. And that means while incinerating, what happens? It produces different kinds of gases which are very harmful, that cause the greenhouse gas effect. That means greenhouse effect, and that leads to the climate change. So if we change our behavior, we can protect our climate also. We have discussed about the various factors which are involving in the climate change and what effects we have seen on the different factors or the different conditions, and how can we minimize the climate change by ourselves. We have discussed in this class. So I hope you have learned a lot from this class. Now just check your learning through these questions. First question is, which is the effect of climate change? There are 4: deforestation, change in weather pattern, volcanic eruption, Earth's reflexivity. Which one is the correct option from this? Very good, change in weather pattern. Next question. How does use of electrical vehicle minimizes the effect of climate change? Okay, there are some options. Due to reduction in carbon dioxide gas emission, due to increase in oxygen gas utilization, due to increase in carbon dioxide gas utilization, due to increase in oxygen gas emission, which is the correct option. Yes, very good. This is due to reduction in carbon dioxide gas emission. Let's discuss some constructive response question also. First question is, how do change in weather pattern due to climate change affect on the agricultural production in your region? Support your answer with specific example. This is for yourself. In your surrounding, what type of effects are seen in your agricultural production? You have to select any one of that and you have to explain it. Then you can discuss with your friends and you can write its answer and you can show to your teacher. Next question is, explain three specific actions that individual can take to reduce their carbon footprint, that means carbon emission, and describe the potential impact of each action on climate change mitigation. Okay, can you do this? Just you have to write what you can do, individual can do for this climate change. That means what mitigation you can do for this, you have to write and show to your teacher, science teacher. So all of you just concentrate in the class and all of you write this question and show to your science teacher. We will meet you in next class. Thank you. Bye-bye.